Very good afternoon, all of you. My name is Dan Patel, and today we are going to discuss about the history. The First World War broken out in 1914. Who were the freedom fighter? With help of those freedom fighter, we just get independence and many other things. Today we are going to discuss. Okay, first of all, what was the situation? Okay, behind the act, okay, where non-cooperative movement act has been emerged and people were doing non-cooperative with the government, okay, British Raj government. First thing, the points which they have taken, that were economical and political situation. They have set our economy in a very constitutional way. First thing, the thing which they have added, the British imposed war expenditure on India. The wars which was done conducted by the Britishers, the expenditure they are been taken by only from the Indian country. Income tax was introduced, the custom duties were raised, the price of the essential goods doubled during the war period. The forced recruitment was made into the British Indian Army. In the British Indian Army, 50% the senior positions are of British, and the maybe from the lower or maybe the middle, the rights were received by the Indian people. So, by the way, there was an inequality in the recruitment force. At the time of the British Raj, there was a famine came. Okay, there was crop failure resulting in a shortage of food, material influenza epidemic spread in many parts of India. Millions of people lost their lives. The Mahatma Gandhi ji. You heard this name as the father of nation. Uh, First thing, uh, Gandhiji came back to India in 1915. He introduced a new powerful method of struggle called Satyagraha. Okay, what was the Satyagraha about? Okay, Satyagraha, generally, according to Mahatma Gandhi, it was just a peaceful movement. Satyagraha is literally means so holding on truth force. Okay, it was not violent struggle introduced by Gandhiji in the Indian national movement. It persuaded the opponent to understand the truth. If the cause was true, and if the fight was against injustice, then the physical force not necessary to fight the oppressor. The hunger strike, peaceful demonstration, strike, hattle, non-cooperative with the government are some methods of satyagraha. So generally, it's a activity where people do either fast or doing strike, just like laborers do strike in the front of the companies nowadays. This kind of strike were being done conducted by the Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, it was a key tool for appraisal. Yes, the movements done by Mahatma Gandhiji in this historical movement after just coming to the back to the India in 1915, 1916, like the Gandhiji saw that people like the Britishers were forcing them to grow the indigo plants in India, and uh, the farmers were getting losses due to famine, and they are not getting anything back, and also the British government also not supporting Indian, so that they started this Champaran movement, then Kheda movement, crop failure and the plague epidemic in Gujarat, then mill power movement. Okay, low wages, poor working conditions forced mill workers of Ahmedabad to start a movement to under Gandhi's leadership. The Colson Dairy, which was been serving milk to the Britisher, was closed down, and milk producing company has been emerged. Okay, now the Rolex Act 1990. This act gave the government the power to imprison any without any trial for the period of 2 years. Okay, this Rolex Act, it was act for the Britishers if they think that this person is either making destroy any kind of like British empowerment, so they have right to catch that person and throw him behind the bars. The aim of this act was destroy the national movement by the imprison the national worker. It was a black law because it was against the basic human right. So it also called as a black law. Rolex Act Satyagraha. Gandhiji organized a non-violent satyagraha against the Rolex Act. The Harshil was organized on 6th April 1919. The rallies were conducted, shops were closed down, workers conducted strike transport, and the communication system came to standstill. This protest led to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Okay, this act, okay, Rolex Act. Many of the people had done Satyagraha, even Gandhiji, and the result one was the Jallianwala massacre. Okay, in Punjab. What was Jallianwala Bagh massacre? Okay, on 13 April 1990, there was a public meeting was organized at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar to protest against the arrest of the national leader. Many villagers who came to attend a fair were also present in this park. The General Dyer reached the meeting place along with the British troops. He ordered the troops to fire. The firing lasted for the near 10 minutes. More than 1,000 people were killed and many were wounded. This incident is called Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Okay, Khilafati movement. What was the actually this movement was? Khilafati movement. It was a movement organized by the Muhammad Ali and the Shaukat Ali. Ali brothers have started this movement. The aim of this movement was to protest against the injustice done to the Turkey by the Britain after the First World War. The Turkish Sultan had the title of the Caliph. The Muslims considered him as their spiritual leader, so many Muslims joined this movement. Okay, so as people were following the Turkish Sultan, okay, Caliph, so Muslim people generally fall with the Khilafati movement. Okay, Gandhiji decided to launch the non-cooperative movement because the First World War added misery to the Indian people. The heavy tax emerged done by the Britisher, the high prices due to famine, and the epidemic like plague was there in 1915 1916, like miserable. Rolex Act invited the large scale of protesters through the country. Jallianwala Bagh massacre and the injustice done to Punjab made Indian angry. The Muslim become unhappy due to the ill treatment of the Turkey. They started Khilafati movement. The Congress session of the Nagpur 1920 adopted Gandhiji the ideas of the non-cooperative movement. Okay, what was the non-cooperative movement about? Non-cooperative was launched under the Gandhiji's leadership in 1920. It aims at the protesting against the injustice done to the Punjab and the Turkey attained the Swaraj. Turkey and protest attained the Swaraj. The educated middle class led to the movement in the town and cities. Educational institute, low court, foreign goods were boycotted. As you heard, that totally non-cooperative means the things which were running by the Britishers were totally been boycotted by the citizens of India over the time of the periods where there was a rule of the Britishers. With the peace and organizing movement against the talukadars and the landlords in the village under the leadership of the Baba Chandra, the tribal people started the armed struggles in the Gadim Hill of the Andhra Pradesh under the leadership of the Alluri Sitaram Raju. The worker in the plantation of the Assam started a struggle to get the right to free movement. Okay, Choi Chora incident forced Gandhiji to call off the movement. Okay, so these are the listed and certain other reasons behind starting this non-cooperative movement. Different stands with the non-cooperative movement in the town and the city. Educated middle class led the movement in the towns and cities. Educational institute, law courts, and the council elections were boycotted. Generally, the education institution, okay, up till 1 to 7th, the education was provided by the Britishers and their own self of developing the education. There was a law court, but it was just helpful to the Britishers only. There was the election council, but there was a separation electorals for the different communities and under the different you can say it was not for all, it was individualized as per categorized by the community of the people. Okay, the foreign clothes was quite cheaper and the khadi clothes was quite costlier. So this was the resulting because of the government had imposed huge amount of taxes over the khadi clothes. The government servants resigned their job. The liquor shop were picketed. The non-cooperative movement slowly down in the town and cities because the khadi clothes were very costly. The poor were not able to buy them. The Indian boycott British institutes like law, court, and education institute, but the alternative institute did not come up. So the people had to stop the boycott. Okay, so education was not, there was no availability of this education at that time. So people firstly started the boycotting of the institution of education, but later on they continuing. Okay, so the resulting of the ended, or you can say withdrawals of the non-cooperative movement was seen under that time. Okay, the movement in the countryside villages, the peasant movement in the Awadh. Peasant movement was organized by the Baba Ramchandra. It was against landlord and talukadars. The reduction of the rent and abolishing of the beggar were the main demands. The form of the Earth Kisan Sabha. Baba Ramchandra. He led a peasant movement in the Awadh against the talukadar and landlord. He demanded reduction of the rent, abolishment of the beggar, and boycott of the landlord. In October 1920, he formed Earth Kisan Sabha with the help of the Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, the tribal movement. In the Goddam hills of the Andhra Pradesh, tribals and started a movement under the leadership of the Alluri Sitaraman Raju. The tribal wanted to get the back their traditional right over the forest. The method followed by the tribals and the peasants were against the Gandhi's method of non-violence. They follow the violence method of struggling. So tribal movement was generally a violent movement. Okay, then Gandhiji was against the violence movement. Okay, Alluri Sitaraman Raju, he led a movement of the tribal people in the Guddim hills of Andhra Pradesh. Many people consider him as an incarnation of the god. They believe that he had many special powers. He supposed to Gandhiji and asked his followers to wear the khadi and stop drinking, but he organized an army struggle against the British. Okay, Alluri Sitaraman Raju. You can see the picture from a website that is desicolor.com. Okay, the movement in the plantation. The workers in the plantation of Assam demanded the right to move freely in or out of the state. Okay, those persons who were doing the plantation in Assam, they were restricted to move from Assam. Also, there was a quite restriction over there to the people who done this plantation work. They opposed the Inland Immigration Act 1859, which took away the right to the free movement. When they heard about the non-cooperative movement, they moved to their villages. They thought that the Gandhiji Raj was coming and everyone would be giving land in their village. However, they were caught and brought back. Withdraw of the non-cooperative movement. Gandhiji withdrew the non-cooperative movement because the movement became violent in some place in February 1922. In Chauri Chaura, the Uttar Pradesh, people turned violent and set fire to a police station. 22 policemen were killed in this incident. Gandhiji was against violence. As you know, the movement slowed down in the urban area. He thought that it was necessary to train the people in the non-violent satyagraha. The significantly of the non-cooperative movement. Non-cooperative movement was a large-scale mass movement. It attracted common people from all social groups. Non-cooperative movement and the Khilafati movement went together, so they prompted the Hindu-Muslim unity. The peasant and the tribal movement became a part of Indian national movement. It was a non-violence movement, so it popularized the Gandhians' idea of the non-violence and satyagraha. Okay, now Simon's Commission, the Indian Statutory Commission. Okay, a very important question: why a Simon Commission was opposed by the Indian? Okay, generally we'll going to discuss this thing. It was a statutory commission, Simon Commission. It was a statutory commission set up by the British under the Sir John Simon. It was asked to study the constitutional system in the Indian and suggest changes. Indian opposed the Simon Commission because all the members of the commission were Englishmen and there was no Indian in it. It did not provide any hope of the Swaraj to Indian. Lahar Congress of 1929. The Congress session was held at Lahore in 1929 under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru. The following decisions were taken. Congress declared Purna Swaraj as the aim. It was decided to celebrate 26th January every year as Independence Day. It was decided to start the civil disobedient movement to the win Purna Swaraj. Development that led to the launching of the civil disobedient movement. The Indian launched a powerful struggle against the Simon Commission. The government resorted to the depression. The Great Depression made the life of the people highly miserable. Lahore conspiration case created discontent among the Indian. Lahar Congress of 1929 declared the Purna Swaraj as its aims and decided to launch the civil disobedience movement. Gandhiji inaugurated the movement by breaking the salt law of the Dandi Salt March. Okay, what was the Salt March? Why government had put taxes on the salt, okay, and how it was being removed. So first, Gandhiji decided to inaugurate the civil disobedience movement by breaking the salt law. Gandhiji and 78 of his followers started a march on the foot from the Sabarmati ashram to Dandi March. On 6th April 1919, they reached Dandi. Gandhiji prepared salt by using seawater, broke the salt law, and inaugurated the movement. The government imposed heavy tax on the salt. Moreover, the production of the salt was monopoly of the government, so the price of the salt was very high. Therefore, Gandhiji opposed the salt law. The main feature of the civil disobedience movement, Gandhiji led a march on the foot from the Sabarmati to Dandi. He broke the salt law and the Dandi is and inaugurated the movement. People broke the salt law in the many places. The foreign goods were boycotted. The liquor shop were picketed. Government servants resigned their job. Forest laws were broken. People refused to pay the taxes. Leaders were arrested. Workers attacked government officers. Gandhiji called off the movement on 5th March 1931 under the Gandhiji's advance pack. He agreed to attend the second roundtable conference. It was restarted. Gandhiji returned from London. It was final call of 1934. The difference between the non-cooperative movement and the civil disobedience movement was just like non-cooperative movement was we were not cooperating to the Britishers, and the civil disobedient movement means like they were not obeying the laws of the Britishers. They were like they are opposing the laws of the laws which were made by the Britishers. Okay. People refused to the cooperative with the government during the non-cooperative movement. The people broke the laws during the civil disobedience movement. The Muslim participated in the large numbers in the non-cooperative movement. Muslim participation was less in the civil disobedience movement. No tax campaign was there in the non-cooperation movement. People refused to pay taxes in civil disobedience movement. Social groups which participate in the civil disobedience movement reached peasant depression and fall in the price affected them badly. The demanded reduction in the land revenue Swaraj means reduction of the taxes for them. The poor peasant depression affected them badly. They demanded reduction in rent. Swaraj meant to reduction of the rent from them. The business class, they demanded the protection against the import of the foreign goods. They wanted a rupee sterling exchange rate that would discourage import. They formed the Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920. They also formed the Federation of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. They gave financial help to the movement of the refusing to sell the foreign good. Industrial workers, they were poorly paid. The condition of the worker were miserable. The Swaraj movement Swaraj means better wage and working condition for them. A railway worker and the doctor worker conducted the strike. The worker in the mine wore Gandhiji's caps and took the part in the rallies. The main contribution of the civil disobedience movement. The civil disobedience movement was the first struggle to the win Purna Swaraj completely independent. It was based on the non-violence Satyagraha. Gandhiji in Indian history well is followed. The women participated in the large numbers in this movement. It was a real mass movement, different the social group of the participation. It was an open challenge to the British rule. The people openly disobeyed this law. The main limitation of the civil disobedience movement, okay, the Dalit did not participate in the civil disobedience movement because the Congress did not give importance to their demands. Many Muslims did not participate in it. They thought that the Congress was moving closely to Hindu Mahasabha. The communal riots occurred in the many places. Disunity between Hindu and Muslim started. The industrial worker participation was minimum. So you can see that this civil disobedience movement were having quite high limitations as Dalits were Dalits voice were been not included. Muslim was thinking that the Jawaharlal Nehru was focusing only toward the Hindus people. Okay, because it is a city as a country of the Hindu people. So there was a communal riot between Hindu and Muslim. Okay, over that time, then the people who are working in the streets were not participating. Okay, because they were not aware. The effort made by Gandhiji is for the upliftment of the Dalits. Gandhiji was against untouchability. He said that the Swaraj would not come for 100 years if the untouchability was not abolished. He called the untouchable Harijan or son of the gods. Hari na Jan means the son of gods. He organized satyagraha to get temples entry and access to the public wells and tanks, roads for schools for Dalits. He cleaned the Harijan colonies, and in his ashram there was no caste feeling. He asked the upper caste Hindus to give up the inhuman practice of the untouchability. Gandhiji and versus the Ambedkar. Okay. Mahatma Gandhiji versus Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar demanded separate electorates for the Dalits. He thought that the share in the political power would help in their upliftment. Gandhiji opposed the separate electorates. He thought that if would create disunity, so they clashed in the second round table conference. Pune Pact. It was a sign between Gandhiji and Ambedkar in September 1932. Gandhiji brought an end to his fast. He accepted the demand for the reservation of the seat for the Dalits in his legislatories. The Ambedkar agreed to give up the demand for the separate electorates. Okay, the culture factor identify which create the sense of collective belongingness among the people of India. Image of the Bharat Mata. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay created the image of the Bharat Mata. Abhinandra Abhinandra Tagore painted her image. Bharat Mata looked like the sannyasi. She is calm, divine, spiritual, devotional toward her, become a proof of nationalism. The image of the Bharat Mata. Vande Mataram. It was a prayer, Bharat Mata, written by the Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Vande Mataram became the very cry for the Indian. It was later included in his novel Anandmat. Okay, Vande Mataram. National flag. During the Swadeshi movement, a tricolor flag, red, green, yellow, was developed. It has the eight lotus representative, the eight province of the British India. It also created the crescency moon, which represent Hindus and Muslims. In 1921, Gandhiji designed the Swaraj flag. It was also a tricolor flag, the red, green, and white. It has a spinning wheel which represents the Gandhian ideas of self-help. The flag became a symbol of national. It created the feelings of the oneness. The people carried the flag in protest marches and the rallies. Okay, so this was the two pictorials, Swadeshi flag and the second one, which was made by the Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, where the chakra is being central and it shows unity. Okay, and people used to flag this flag between those time. Okay, the rediscovery of the Indian past. The British consider Indian backward and the primitive. They said the Indians were not capable of ruling themselves. In the 19th century, some educated Indians started the efforts of rediscovering India's great achievement. They rediscovered the achievements made by the Indian in the art, architecture, science, mathematics, religion, culture, law, philosophy, craft, and trade. The knowledge about the great achievement of India created a national pride, self-confidence, and the patriotism among the Indians. The revivals of the folk lords, the national tour, the village to collect the folk songs and legends. Ravindranath Tagore collected numbers of folk songs and legends. In Madras, Nithisa Sastry published a four-volume collection of Tamil folk tales, the folklores of the southern Indian. The folk song legends gave a true pictures of Indian culture. They showed their although and characteristics of India. They created a national pride among the people. This is the picture of the folklore of Southern Indian. You can also found this book in shodhganga.com, and you can go and read out this book. It is a very practical and also very knowledgeable thing. Okay, now I'm going to end the session. Okay, if you found any kind of doubt, you can just put your doubt questions in my comment box. I will ready to give you answers. Okay, thank you for listening my session. Thank you. Bye.